Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of Vintage Fountain Pens. Today, I have for you a beautiful Italian piece from the end of the 1940s. This is a special desk pen. It is made by OMAS. It is an OMAS Extra, as you see imprinted on the barrel, with this beautiful 14 karat 585 gold nib. I bought this fountain pen recently. I paid quite a reasonable sum of money for it. It cost me around only 50 euros. So very good price. And I must tell you that I bought this fountain pen especially for this beautiful gold nib. I thought to myself, even though the charging mechanism might be faulty, I could salvage this beautiful gold nib. Of course, if you've watched my videos, you are familiar with the OMAS brand. Unfortunately, they closed their gates in 2015, and in my opinion, it was a great loss for the fountain pen industry, especially for the Italian industry. OMAS was a top producer in Italy. In fact, when I think about Italian fountain pens, about vintage fountain pens, the first name that it comes to my mind is OMAS. In the background, you may recognize another desk fountain pen, this time made also by OMAS, but in the 1930s, with a beautiful celluloid. I have, let's say, a tourist piece made for tourists. This is a dip pen, it's not a fountain pen, because it doesn't have the reservoir to carry ink. They say that this glass is Murano glass, and you must dip it in a special ink and you could write with it. Interesting instrument, and I thought to myself, why not? Let's share this interesting instrument with my viewers. I have also a Scheffer fountain pen. It also has a beautiful gold nib, and it writes majestically. It is written on the nib 44, as you can probably see. This is like a hybrid between a fountain pen and a deep pen. It came in a stand. Unfortunately, I don't have the stand, so it was permanently held to that stand. And inside that stand, it had like a large reservoir of ink, so it permanently stayed immersed in that ink. But when you needed to write with it, it could carry a large amount of ink. I believe that this ebonite feed had an important role in storing all that ink. It is an interesting system, but it was sold for only 5 or 6 year period at the end of the 1940s and the beginning of the 1950s. And I also have this glass stand, this beautiful glass stand. It has a simple dower feather number 4 nib. It is a fountain pen because it has its own system of storing the ink. This is an ink converter. It is permanently attached to the body of the pen, so you can't remove it. Okay, let's return to our fountain pen. On the screen, I will leave the dimensions of the fountain pen, and I will try to put them side by side for you to have an idea of their length. I hope they will stay together because they don't have a clip, they don't have a cap, firstly, and they are prone to roll over the desk. That's why I use this wooden elephant to prevent them from rolling out the desk. Okay. So I think they are ready. And you can see that our OMAS desk pen from the late 40s, it has quite a length. It is similar to the other product, which is named Forever, made by OMAS in the 1930s. So quite a large fountain pen. But of course it has its benefits, and I will show them to you. First of all, for 30 seconds, I will leave on the screen the dimensions. So I will measure the length of the fountain pen, of the desk fountain pen, and I will weigh this piece on a scale, and I will leave the weight of this fountain pen. Okay, let's put the others aside. This I will put the holder, and let's examine this fountain pen. Although it is quite a large fountain pen, you can unscrew the end section over here. So this fountain pen has an interesting piston filler mechanism. When you turn this part, you can see on the ink window that the piston is moving forward, and when you return, it retracts. Unfortunately, the system, it isn't working, and I believe that the cork at the end of the piston is missing, or it's stuck in this position here. It's not a problem because, as I told you at the beginning of the video, I bought this fountain pen especially for the nib, and I intended to use it as a dip pen. Maybe sometime I will get it restored, fully working. I believe it isn't such a difficult process to simply put another cork. It's interesting, it opens in this part, and you can retract the whole mechanism. So this is the mechanism. As an idea, I thought to myself that I can use it as an eyedropper, in the sense that I can fill this part with an eyedropper or a syringe. After that, I can secure it by simply inserting this part and just writing with it. So it's not a problem if the filling mechanism lacks the cork at the end. It simply doesn't create a vacuum, so the ink isn't pulled into this reservoir. Speaking of the reservoir, you can see it has this amber looking color. It is quite transparent. The other part of the fountain pens are made out of a black celluloid with a very glossy finish. It is quite shiny, as you can see, but it also attracts micro scratches. But for a pen built in the late 40s and the early 50s, I think it is in really nice shape. As you can see, it has this gold-plated trim that didn't lose its plating, so it's quite a nice piece. You can see the slight concave ending of the grip section, so you can hold it quite nice. It has a nice feeling, this shiny grip part. It isn't slippery at all. The beautiful gold nib. And it's interesting about this nib. You can date the OMAS nibs according to their imprints. We have OMAS, and you can see the A is rather strange looking. But also we can see the 585 imprint, which means we have a 14 karat nib. And the 585, it is inside this diamond shape. And if you look closely, you can observe at the beginning and at the ending of the 585, we have two small triangles. The two small triangles shows us that this particular nib was made at the end of the 1940s, or maybe at the early beginning of the 1950s. And the extra imprint. I simply love this breathing hole in the form of a heart. At the end, we have the classic ebonite feed, which is very elegant and very flat, as you can see. The nib needs a little work because you can see the tines, they are not properly aligned. You can see that one is slightly over the other. But you will see in the writing sample that this isn't a very big problem. Indeed, it needs some little tuning, this nib. So we are ready for the writing sample. Again, I can choose to fill it with ink, but I prefer to just dip it in an ink bottle. I want to be quite sincere with you. Indeed, the piston filling mechanism has failed. But again, the focus of this piece is the nib and of course the manufacturer OMAS, but it really is a beautiful nib. And I will show you what I mean in a few moments when we will do the writing sample. For the writing sample, I will use this vintage Pelican ink from the 1980s. It is a brilliant green. It comes in this original package. It's a beautiful ink. Okay, let's leave the elephant aside. As always, be careful when you handle the ink. Okay, let's shake it, let's dip it. Okay, now we simply remove the excess ink. Just remember to put the cap back on. Okay, we are ready for the writing sample. And this nib, oh boy, it's an interesting nib. I will try to change the perspective because I want to show you the nib. I want to focus on the nib. We have here an OMAS Extra. This is a desk pen, but a desk fountain pen. It is made in Italy, and I think it was made in the late 1940s, and let's say 1949. This nib is incredible. I hope you can see, let's see, the line variation. You can see that the tines are moving. Yes, beautiful variation. It scratches a bit because I told you about the tines. So you can see in this angle, not so much, but it definitely needs some work, this nib. It's a wonderful nib, and I will call it not just a semi-flex, but a flex nib. A beautiful 14 karat 585 flexi nib. It is wonderful. Let's see this, and you can reach some cool, nice, and you can see beautiful nib. I'm proud that I acquired this desk pen. It is quite a wonderful pen. In my opinion, this is how a gold nib should handle. Of course, not all the people love a flexi nib, but indeed a flexible nib, it is something to be proud of, because it really gives a lot of character to the writing. Thank you. I thank you for your time. Thank you for participating in my journey in acquiring and studying and using vintage fountain pens. I will show you again this wonderful, wonderful nib because, yes, indeed, it is a wonderful, wonderful nib. I don't want to forget, and I'm sorry for the long time this video takes, but I have here another wonderful, wonderful piece made by OMAS, this time in the 1930s. This is a fountain pen. That's a beautiful, beautiful celluloid fountain pen, a lever filler. And I wanted to end this video by showing you two incredible, incredible looking nibs. You can see that they are slightly different. You can see the OMAS and especially the A. The A on the older OMAS looks like an H, and on the other it is more like an A. You can see the 585 also in a diamond shape and the word extra. And on the back, interesting, we have the same looking feed, so no major modifications. Remember, this is from the late 40s, this is from the early 30s, so almost 20 years apart. This is the beautiful, beautiful OMAS nibs. They are a must-have in the world of collecting vintage fountain pens. You must try one because the words don't make them justice. You have to try one. Again, thank you for your time. Please subscribe to my channel to support my activity. As always, I wish you to have a nice day, leaving you with this beautiful, beautiful work of art, which is this nib. I say to you, bye bye.